Welcome everyone! In this video, we are going to be diving into my top 5 best teams for the Retro Cup. The Retro Cup has always been one of my very favorite specialty cups that Niantic has introduced into Pokemon Go Battle League. And the reason why is it's a relatively balanced meta. It's so much fun. I always enjoy the Retro Cup, and for those of you unaware, the Retro Cup takes place at the Great League format, which is 1500 CP or less, and excludes Dark types, Steel types, and Fairy types. Those are the Retro Cup rules. Pretty simple, guys. When you only exclude 3 typings, that makes for a very wide variety of Pokemon that we can bring into the meta. Very refreshing, I would say, as the Fossil Cup comes to an end. Retro Cup will drop alongside the Open Great League tomorrow, the typical time that leagues reset at the time of recording this video, and will be a lot of fun. So guys, we're going to dive into 5 teams that will set you up for the most success. Want to get an early jump on it for you guys, point you in the right direction, get the brain, the juices flowing in the brain in terms of teams and what you're going to see in this Retro Cup meta. So, going to be lots of fun. With all that said, let's have a look at team number 1. All right, guys, here we go. Team number 1. And oh my goodness, guys, this team is likely the strongest team you could possibly run in the Fossil Cup. Generally, when you take 3 Pokemon that are ranked in the top 5 on PvPoke and put them on the same team, you're going to be doing okay. It doesn't always work out that way. Things are always much more different in real world scenarios, but I think we can toss that right out of the window because this team for team number 1 is insanely powerful, guys, and it leads with Altaria on the lead, Lickitung as your safe swap, and Walrein in the back to close the game strong. So all 3 of these Pokemon are absolute titans, not only in the Open Great League, but also in the Retro Cup. This team is insanely powerful, guys. So let's have a look at this scorecard here, because I've been going on about how strong this team is, but look at that scorecard. Straight A's across the board. Have you ever seen anything like it, guys? This is insane. You get straight A's for everything. You get an A for coverage, A for bulk, A for safety, and an A for consistency. Likely the most powerful team you could possibly run in the Retro Cup. So guys, if you're looking to regain some of that precious elo that you may have lost during the Fossil Cup, this team might just be for you. So let's have a look at these matchups here. Altaria on the lead is going to be quite powerful. But the double-edged sword with running Altaria on the lead is you're going to be often faced with some Altaria mirror matchups. And if you are faced with that, those of you who watch this channel regularly know that I'm not a big fan of mirror matchups, guys. It's just too much of a coin toss, 50-50 shot as to who takes that. So if you met with Altaria on the lead, and it is highly likely that you will be, guys, Altaria lead is probably going to be the most popular lead that you will run into. So if you're faced with that with your own Altaria, what you're going to do is swap into Lickitung. Of course, Walrein is the hard counter. Lickitung's going to be more of a soft counter for Altaria. And they may stay in, and if they do, that is fantastic, because there's a good chance that your own Altaria can beat what they have in the back. Okay, so Altaria lead, you're going to swap into Lickitung. Lickitung is the dedicated safe swap in all scenarios in this cup, guys. Now, generally, let's say Walrein, where we know that Walrein absolutely dominates Altaria. Generally, I would recommend going into the softer counter, which would be your own Walrein. But there's a very good chance that there's a Deoxys lurking in the back behind a Walrein lead. So this is why you'll still want to go into Lickitung for a potential Walrein lead. Lickitung, it's very narrow. It's a very narrow loss in the one shield scenario, but when you're leading with Altaria, guys, we're gonna have two shields, so that's the two shield scenario. In that situation, Altaria does just fine. It is still very close, but you'll want to try and chip that Lickitung down to about 50% health, give or take, before making a play into your own Lickitung, just in case there is a counter user behind Lickitung, which is quite common. You could see Lickitung double counter user, so you don't want to completely get your Altaria too low in terms of health. So I generally recommend going for one sky attack and then making a play into your own Lickitung for the mirror. And I think those were everything else is pretty much straightforward. The other one that I wanted to go over was Nidoqueen on the lead. You could tank one Poison Fang and then, tank a Poison Fang in the process of looking to either grab a shield or chunking some health with a Sky Attack before making a play into your Lickitung. That would make Nidoqueen much more manageable between your Walrein and your own Lickitung. You don't want to go into the hard counter, which would be Walrein on those Nidoqueen leads. You want to chip and dip, guys, on the Nidoqueen leads. Chip with a Sky Attack or grab a shield before making a play into Lickitung, as once you tank that first Poison Fang, that Poison Jet damage can be a lot for Altaria to handle. So that's how I would handle the Lickitung lead. Everything else is pretty straightforward with team number one, guys. I can't get over the scorecard. This is an insane scorecard. Straight A's. That is unreal. That's how strong this team is, guys. And should definitely help you rack up the wins and get that much closer to achieving whatever goal you may have for this season. So that's team number one. Altaria lead, Lickitung on the safe swap. And again, guys, quickly, as I always do, whenever I build a team with Lickitung on it, I have to give you the alternatives to Lickitung, as I'm aware that a lot of us may not have a Lickitung. So some solid replacements for it for this meta would be Munchlax, Shadow Snorlax, or Greedent. You could substitute any one of those three for Lickitung if you don't have one of your own. So yeah, that's team number one. Altaria on the safe swap, Altaria on the lead, excuse me. Lickitung on the safe swap, and Walrein in the back to close the game strong. And with all that said, guys, let's have a look at team number two. All right, guys, here we go. Team number two. And it is yet another very strong team for the Retro Cup. And it leads with Defense Form Deoxys on the lead, Lickitung as your safe swap, and Frostlass in the back to close the game strong. Now, again, for Lickitung, if you don't have one, just like I said with team number one, if you don't have a Lickitung, some suitable replacements in the Retro Cup would be Shadow Snorlax, Munchlax, or Greedent. Either one of those three will serve as suitable replacements for those of you who don't have a Lickitung of your own. But for team number two, this team is yet another very strong team, like I said, guys, and this one is aimed at catching those Walrein leads that a lot of people are going to be running to counter all of the Altaria leads. So we're running counters to the counters with team number two. But not only that, it is in general a very strong team for the Retro Cup. Let's have a look at the scorecard here. And look at that, guys. Amazing scorecard for team number two. You get an A for coverage, A for bulk, B for safety, and a B for consistency. Super solid scorecard for team number two. Let's have a look at these matchups here. So not only is Defense Form Deoxys on the lead amazing for all the Walrein leads that we will most likely see in this meta, guys, but it also is very decent for the Licky Tongue leads that we will see as well. So Defense Form Deoxys will be doing very well against two of the very popular leads, Licky Tongue and Walrein. Any Ghost type lead. So this is very important, guys, that I really wanted to touch on for team number 2. Any Ghost lead, like Trevenant, Frostlass, Cofagrigus, Jellicent, you're going to employ the chip and dip strategy, which means that you're going to build to a Psycho Boost. You're going to build up to that, throw that Psycho Boost, and then dip into Frostlass, because Licky Tongue is the hard counter for the Ghost types. You always want to safe swap into your soft counter. That is the only time that you're going to be utilizing Frostlass as a safe swap, and that is if you encounter an opposing Ghost type on the lead. You can employ that chip and dip strategy. You're either going to chunk a lot of health or grab a shield advantage, both of which are very good if you're going to be safe swapping in the Frostlass. So that's the strategy on the Ghost types. Chip and dip with Deoxys. Any other not so favorable lead, you're going to go into Licky Tongue. So another not so favorable lead would be an Altaria lead, which is going to be probably the most popular lead that you're going to see, guys. For Altaria on the lead, you're also going to employ the chip and dip strategy, but instead of chipping with the Psycho Boost, which you can do, you might want to consider chipping with the Rock Slide, which will be super effective. Does about just shy of 40% of Altaria's health. The Rock Slide, as Altaria is quite bulky. You could also chip with the Psycho Boost with Stab. That would also be fine as well if you don't want to give the Altaria too much of an energy lead. But I think the safer play would go for the super effective damage. And on Altaria, you're going to chip and dip into Licky Tongue, as Frostlass is your hard counter to Altaria. But the overall goal with this team is to preserve a shield advantage for Frostlass, guys. Frostlass with the shield advantage is next to unstoppable in this meta. So we covered how to handle the Ghost types. Altaria we covered. Everything else is going to be pretty straightforward. Nidoqueen, I wanted to go over as well. You're going to chip and dip with the Psycho Boost. You could even build up to 2 and try and not only grab a shield, because Nidoqueen has to shield the first one, but also chunk some health, because a lot of smart players will tank the second Psycho Boost. And at that point, you're definitely going to want to swap out to clear those debuffs on the Nidoqueen leads. And everything else is pretty straightforward. It says that you lose to Medicham in the 1 shield, but every Medicham that I've played against in both the 2 shield and 1 shield, I've beaten. So that might be some IV anomaly there that PV Poke is picking up on. But in general, Deoxys, sort of big brother's Medicham in generally all other circumstances. So that's team number 2. Amazing scorecard as well. Very solid team for the meta. If you're seeing a lot of Walreins or Licky Tongues on the lead, this team is definitely going to be for you. I always recommend having a couple of solid teams on rotation that you can rotate around depending on what you're seeing during whatever time of day you happen to be playing Go Battle League. So yeah, very solid team for team number 2, and it leads with Deoxys on the lead, Licky Tongue as your safe swap, and Frostlass in the back to close the game strong, preferably with a shield advantage. So yeah, that's team number 2. With all that said, let's have a look at team number 3. All right, guys, here we go. Team number 3. Another very powerful team that you can consider running for the Retro Cup. And it leads with Frostlass on the lead, Altaria as the safe swap, and Medicham in the back to close the game strong, guys. So this team plays like a bit of a balanced team where you're not necessarily forced to swap out on neutral leads like you are generally with the ABB style of team. Yeah, This team gives you a lot of flexibility, guys. That's the beauty of running a balanced team. Generally, is it gives you a lot of flexibility where you can pivot if you do have to swap out on a losing lead. So let's have a look at the scorecard here. And not bad, guys. Another very solid scorecard for team number 3. You get an A for coverage, which I believe is the most important metric when evaluating a team on PvPoke. You get a B for bulk. That's saying a lot with any team with Frostlass on it. B for safety and an A for consistency. Very good scorecard for team number 3. Let's have a look at these matchups here. So, like I said, this is sort of a balanced team. Frostlass has a lot of very solid winning leads and a lot of neutral play in the lead as well, particularly with either Licky Tongue or Walrein. So if you encounter either one of those on the lead, what you're going to want to do is, if it's Licky Tongue, chip and dip. Again, like with team number 2, you're going to chip with a Avalanche. They will generally tank that if they're Licky Tongue. If they shield you, it's even better because you know that there's something in the back that Frostlass will have a good matchup against. So either way, you're going to chip with the Avalanche before making a play into Altaria. You will either draw out a Walrein, an opposing Frostlass, or a Licky Tongue. If it's Walrein or Licky Tongue that you draw with your Altaria, you're going to come back in with Medicham and farm down, guys. You're going to strap on those farming boots and farm all the way down and have loaded energy with Medicham, because Medicham with loaded energy is insanely powerful, guys. If it's Walrein on the lead, you're going to look to chip with the Shadow Ball. And Frostlass can tank an Earthquake. That would be a safe play, but you're going to want to either chunk some health or grab a shield advantage with the Shadow Ball. Of course, it doesn't KO Walrein, but it does loads of damage. If they shield, you're going to want to stick in there and play that out a little bit, because you really, really want to chunk some health on the Walrein. The safest play would be to just play out the 2 shield, because you really want to get that Walrein out of the way, because you don't want to risk that Walrein finding its way to your Altaria. That can be disastrous. So that's how I would play the Walrein lead. Trevenant, you're going to want to maybe play that out a little bit. You can tank a Seed Bomb. They're going to just go straight Seed Bomb on you. That's the best way to play Frostlass. And you gotta know that your opponent, as Trevenant on the lead, is also calculating in their head, because it's not the most fun for Trevenant to go up against Frostlass, as that Powder Snow damage with Stab really adds up. So maybe try and grab a shield advantage if you can. You can tank the Seed Bomb, but if you can grab the shield, and you will grab the shield with the Avalanche, you can make a play into Altaria. And the same goes for Jellicent and Cofagrigus. That's how I would play those. And of course, this team is meant to pick up those Altaria leads. You're going to be winning lead a lot with this team, because everybody's going to be running Altaria in the lead. Everything else you're going to be doing just fine on. Everything else is pretty straightforward, but Licky Tongue, I wanted to go over Walrein and the Ghost types. So that's team number 3. Very solid team as well for team number 3. Amazing scorecard. Very flexible team, guys, as it plays like a bit of a balanced team. Again, if you're forced to swap out on the losing leads, they're going to meet you with their best counter, and you can sort of pivot appropriately. That's the beauty and flexibility of running a balanced team. So that's team number 3. Frostlass on the lead, Altaria as your safe swap, and Medicham in the back to close the game strong. So with all that said, let's have a look at team number 4. All right, guys, here we go. Team number 4. Another very solid team that you can have tons of success with in the Retro Cup. And it leads with Walrein on the lead, Nidoqueen running Stone Edge as your safe swap, and Trevenant in the back to close the game strong. My goodness, guys, the Walrein Trevenant core makes yet another appearance. That is just because it is one of the more powerful cores that you can run in Pokemon Go Battle League. Walrein and Trevenant go together like peanut butter and jelly, guys. Those two together are quite powerful. Let's have a look at the scorecard here. And not bad for team number 4. And this is a relatively accessible team that many of you already have access to these 3 Pokemon. So you can absolutely run this team and have a lot of success. You get a B for coverage, C for bulk, and that's just because Trevenant is not known for its bulk and has a tendency to bring the bulk score down a little bit. But you do still have plenty of bulk between Nidoqueen and Walrein, of course. You get an A for safety and a B for consistency. So, pretty solid scorecard for team number 4 here. Let's have a look at these matchups. So, Walrein on the lead. Always a very strong and powerful lead. It does struggle against the Lickitung leads. But it can do okay. Lickitung really has to bait you and land that power whip to do to swing the matchup in its favor. All the while, you can just spam off those icicle spears just as fast as you get to them. Generally, if you can correctly shield up the power whip, and if you don't, it's okay, not a big deal. You can still tank it. Walrein does tank it pretty comfortably. But if you can successfully shield it, then you're even better off. But if you're a little bit apprehensive about having to tank a power whip for fear of a potential flyer in the back, you can chip it down to about 50% health and then make a play in the Nidoqueen and play on from there. It's just, if you do that, you do risk that Lickitung finding its way to your Trevenant, but by chipping it down to about 50% health, Trevenant can still do okay with the Seed Bomb spam. So that is why it is important to employ that strategy. Or you can just stay in and play it out until the Lickitung is gone, because you can do very well in the 2 shield, and that will be on the lead. Walrein on the lead, it's going to be a little painful, but you got to stay in that one. It's going to come down to IVs, unfortunately. But you just have to stay in and play out that Walrein mirror matchup. And hopefully land an Earthquake. They will, generally, if they really want to fight hard for a lead, they will shield up the first Earthquake. But you really, really need to land an Earthquake on Walrein. It is very unlikely that they will double shield their Walrein unless they are extremely weak to it in the back. I would say if they shield up the first one, you got to shield up, or you can tank theirs, but you're going to have to shield up one of theirs as well to get off that damage on opposing Walrein leads. Of course, this team is really meant to pick up the Altaria leads. Again, guys, I cannot stress enough, Altaria is going to be the most highly used lead option in this meta. So I want to give you teams that will set you up for the most success, that will allow you to win lead on those Altaria leads. So you're going to be doing fine, of course, against Altaria. The ghost types, so like Cofagrigus, Trevenant is the exception, but Cofagrigus, Jellicent, and Frostlass, more so Jellicent and Frostlass, can be quite challenging on the lead, as Nidoqueen doesn't want to see any ghost type in this meta, and Trevenant can beat or fare very well against all the other opposing ghost types. But with Frostlass, you can tank a Shadow Ball, guys. If you encounter Frostlass on the lead, you really got to get off that Earthquake. And a lot of battlers will try and call that bait and end up eating an Earthquake for their troubles. And right there, you basically win, because a Icicle Spear will essentially take out the Frostlass on the lead. So on Frostlass leads, tank the Shadow Ball. A lot of people like to bait, and if you successfully call that bait, it's even better. But you can comfortably tank a Shadow Ball, and they cannot farm you down. And you definitely have to land that Earthquake. You will, at the very least, take out the Frostlass or grab a shield advantage, and then you can align appropriately depending on the outcome there. Cofagrigus, you do win that in the 2 shield, so it does say that you have a narrow loss in the 1 shield, which is true, But in the 2 shield, which is the scenario that you would encounter Cofagrigus on in the lead, you're going to win that. So you don't have to worry about that. I did want to go over Jellicent as well. Much like Frostlass, you have to play that the same way. The safest play would be to unfortunately soft lose lead and then look to come in with Trevenant and farm all the way down. But other than that, in Defense Form Deoxys, Medicham, any counter user, you're getting out of there immediately in the Nidoqueen. They will likely meet you with an Altaria or a Lickitung if they have it on their team. And then you can... that's why you run Stone Edge on Nidoqueen. You can play that out, play the bait game with the Poison Fangs, and if shields are down, you can definitely clean up really nice against the Altarias or the Walreins with the threat of the super effective Stone Edge. So that is team number 4. Decent scorecard, not bad at all. And a pretty accessible team. Probably the most accessible team that you will find on this list, guys, as 99% of us out there all have these 3 Pokemon if we play Pokemon Go Battle League seriously. So, and that means non-casual players, which is what most of us are, guys, if you're watching this. So, yeah, that's team number 4. Solid team. Walrein on the lead, Nidoqueen on the safe swap, and Trevenant in the back to close it out strong. That is team number 4. With all that said, let's have a look at team number 5. All right, guys, last but certainly not least, we've got team number 5, and it's a classic ABB style team that is meant to counter the ever so common Walrein leads and the Defense Form Deoxys / Medicham leads. So it leads with Araquanid on the lead, Altaria as your safe swap, and Dragonair in the back to close the game strong. So very solid ABB style team. Let's have a look at the scorecard here. And not bad, guys. This is an amazing scorecard, especially considering that it is a classic ABB style team. You get a B for coverage, B for bulk, B for safety, and an A for consistency. Not bad at all. So let's dive into the matchups here. So with this team, your biggest obstacle is going to be Jellicent / Frostlass. Jellicent to a lesser extent. You're going to see far more Frostlass in this meta than Jellicent on either one of those. So let's tackle Frostlass first. That's going to be the more common of the two. You have to stay in there and just bubble beam it to death, guys. You do tank a Shadow Ball pretty easily, and Araquanid is so bulky that the resisted bug bites really add up, especially given the fact that you are resisting that fast move pressure. And if they try and bait you, it's even better. But the goal is to debuff it to the max so that you can come in with Dragonair and take it out. That is the best scenario for tackling Frostlass on the lead. And you play out Jellicent the same way, only you're going to be going for the bug buzzes. And coming in with Altaria, so sort of flip-flopped scenario there. Altaria, of course, it's pretty easy. You're going to swap into your own Altaria for the mirror matchup. And everything else is pretty straightforward. The ghost types, particularly Cofagrigus, we went over the other 2 ghost types, but Cofagrigus, much easier to manage than the other 2. You're just going into Altaria. Altaria is the safe swap on this team. And the idea is to preserve a shield advantage for Dragonair to close the game out. And you do want to run Wrap on your Dragonair because it gives you optimal play for Altaria. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Wrap as a charge move, it is it's sort of, think about Icy Wind. It does the same base damage and it costs the same energy, only it doesn't debuff your opponent. It gives you a lot of neutral play across the board. And the reason why you want to go with Wrap in this meta is because it's more energy efficient than the Dragon Pulse with Stab. You could go Dragon Pulse for the closing potential, but Wrap will allow you to outpace Altaria and hit for some nice neutral damage. But everything else, I did want to go over Nidoqueen as well. Nidoqueen does beat Araquanid in the 1 shield, but in the 2 shield, those bubble beams with stab really add up, guys. The safest play would be to get that Nidoqueen down to about 50% health, and then look to make a play into Altaria. By then, you will have gotten off at the very least 2 of those bubble beams, maybe even 3. But you want to thoroughly debuff that Nidoqueen before making a play into Altaria, and you'll want to do that to also clear the Poison Fang debuffs as well. So that's how you play Nidoqueen as well with this team, and everything else is pretty straightforward. So yeah, I wanted to give you guys a solid ABB style team. 2 dragons as the backline is quite powerful because there are no fairies, no steel types in this meta. Nothing is resisting your dragon breath, fast move pressure, and you've got a solid answer to Wall Rain, which is going to be the biggest threat to your 2 dragons in the back. So that is team number 5, classic ABB style team with Araquanid on the lead, Altaria, Safe Swap, and Dragonair to close. Should be a lot of fun, guys. That about wraps it up for my top 5 best teams for the Retro Cup. It's going to be quite refreshing, guys. Finally saying goodbye to the Fossil Cup. I know it's been a little rough. Fossil Cup was fun in the beginning, guys, but as it went on, the RPS phenomenon is just too real with the Fossil Cup. So yeah, it'll be refreshing having the Great League back along with the Retro Cup. Retro Cup being one of the best specialty cup metas. It's right up there with the Halloween Cup, and I would say even the Holiday Cup as well. So amazing specialty cup for the Retro Cup. You know, if you guys are getting a little tired of Great League, you want to switch it up, it's always nice to have a solid specialty cup alongside the Great League just to give you a bit of a change of pace. And I really wanted to set you guys up for the most success for those of you who are looking forward to participating in the Retro Cup. So yeah, there you have it, guys. I had a blast. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, I thank you for watching and keep up the grind. Thank you, guys.